literacy, and the second topic is on how to increase the productivity for the CA office. Our first speaker is CA Tikam sir, and the second speaker of the day is CA Saran Kumar. So before starting the session, I welcome all of you with my team. I had Deputy Conveyor CA Deepak Mandeja ji. I request CA Aditya Maheshwari to start the code of ethics. Request everyone to stand up.
हाँ वही ICAIs motto.
ICAI motto. Sorry.
Request everyone to please stand.
आदित्य recording नहीं
चालू है ना? हुआ ना आवाज का
हो रहा है आदित्य वॉइस
हाँ किया
करतो नाही Thank you, Aditya, for playing this. We had today CA Tikam Rohida. He is from Ahmednagar, a young and dynamic chartered accountant. I request CA Radhesham Phaluji, one of our core committee member, to introduce the today's speaker, CA Tikam Rohida.
Good morning to everyone. Educational literacy will give you a chance to live your life, while financial literacy is not only a way to survive life for us, but it will also sustain our next generation for creating wealth. With this brief background, I have great pleasure in introducing today's first speaker, CA Tikam Rajkumar Rohida. CA Tikam Rajkumar Rohida is a practicing chartered accountant and currently practicing under the firm name T.R. Rohida and Company. He is specialized in the field of corporate law and project financing. He has cleared his CA in 2011, CS in 2009, and BSL law in the year 2007 from Pune. He is a regular speaker for CA members and CA students. He is a faculty for GMCS and orientation course in various branches of WIRC of ICAI like Pune, Jalgaon, Latur, Ahmednagar, etc. And visiting faculty at various colleges and institutions across Maharashtra. He was nominated as a sub-group member of Management Accounting Committee of WIRC for the financial year 2014-15. जिंदगी हर एक की पैसे की डगर पे चलती है, जिंदगी हर एक की पैसे की डगर पे चलती है, पर अफसोस इसको डगर पे कैसे चलाना है, पर अफसोस इसको डगर पे कैसे चलाना है, ये सबको नहीं सिखाया जाता है. यही सिखाने आ रहे हैं आज के हमारे फर्स्ट स्पीकर श्री टिकम रोहिड़ा. I request Tikam Rohida to start his session. And I thank you, Amit, for giving an opportunity for introducing today's speaker.
Thank you so much, sir, for the warm introduction. A very good and wonderful Sunday morning to all of the respected committee members of Andheri Oshiwara Study Circle of Mumbai and the respected participants. I would like to express my thanks to all the committee members for giving me an opportunity to present before this privileged study circle. I would also like to appreciate the efforts of the conveyor of this study circle, CA Amitji Sangoi, for his tremendous efforts to make this a successful program and pan-India program. I truly appreciate his efforts. The topic for today, that is the financial literacy. What exactly I want to cover in this today's topic is importance of business communication. The word communication we've been hearing since ages, since years. Let's try to understand and analyze how I want to link this with financial literacy. Financial literacy, the topic that is today, it is a combination of your skills, knowledge, and capabilities required to make good decisions and become financially independent. As a chartered accountant, as a practicing chartered accountants, we have been given this responsibility by the client on our shoulders to make decisions on their behalf. In normal parlance, it may include making sound investment decisions, managing their loans, etc. Now, I want to highlight the importance of communication. It is well said by Cara Blackburn. You can have all the great ideas in the world, but if you can't communicate, nobody will hear them. How relevant this becomes professionally as a chartered accountant. So you may have all the ideas in the world, you may have all the intellectual capacities in the world, but what is important is presenting your ideas, presenting your views in front of the people. It becomes very much important. This people may include your prospective clients. This may include the income tax officials. This may include
Tikam sir, there is a network issue, I think so, no? Aditya?
Yes, yes, yes. Both are audible. Perfect.
Okay. Should we start, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Sorry for the disturbance. Yes. So now, basically, business communication is sharing of information between people that is performed for the commercial benefit of the organization. Being chartered accountants, this communication relates to exchange of information with the clients, sharing of information on behalf of clients to the various government authorities. This may include your income tax officials, your GST officials, sharing the client details or presenting the clients on behalf in banks, so in various industry. Now, basically being in a service industry, the only asset that we are carrying is our communication skills that have to be very strong, because that is the asset generation, or that is the basis of asset generation for us. There might be a lot of barriers to this success. So one can be the lack of requisite skills, lack of communication. We'll come on to this now. Why there is a need of business communication skills? In the professional world, communication and related skills decides a person's career curve. Better the communication skills, higher are the chances of touching the zenith of success. The new global and diverse workplace requires excellent communication skills as well as knowledge, which are recognized and accepted globally. Yes. So coming on to the core of this topic today, financial literacy. So as we discussed earlier, it is a combination of your technical knowledge. As chartered accountants, you are expert in taxation, audit. It is a combination of your skills. It's a combination of your skill set and the experience you are gaining. Plus, the most important component in this is the business communication. So the ultimate outcome of all this is good decision making plus financially viable opinions. Okay. Now the prerequisites. Communication skills. Question number one, do I have an option whether I should have good communication skills? I don't have an option. In a service industry, in the field into which we are, we don't have that option. We need to be good communicators. The most important is, does having good communication skills serve a purpose? No. It has to be good business communication skills. So now when I've added the word business to the word communication skills, that means it is an interplay or application of basic commercial laws which I need to use in my communication. Now, as we all are aware, because of the corona effect, the way businesses are carried has changed. The world has become more competitive. We have started using the electronic media. The written communication, that is the emails, have taken a lead with respect to communicating with your clients. So that means I need to possess strong written communication skills while I am communicating with my clients. I need to be clear with my thoughts. I need to be specific with my words. I need to be precise with my sentences when I'm communicating with clients. So again, email is today's new business modus operandi of doing the business.
Tikam sir, one
Now,
request. Tikam sir, one request. Can you close your video so bandwidth will be proper?
okay, I'll close my video.
If possible.
Yes, yes. Oh. Sir, it is now clear and audible?
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Okay. So, uh, okay. Now, another thing, being a chartered accountant, being in service industry, what is important is good listening skills. If I have to be a good speaker, I need to be the best listener. So I don't have an option, but I have to be a best listener to be a good speaker. Another requisite of financial literacy I'm talking of is good awareness about current business and prevailing market trends, which makes me at par with client on basic parameters. For example, I'm doing an audit of a steel industry. In a steel industry, the most important thing is that I should understand what is the burning loss ratio, what is the scrap generation. You could have seen while auditing a lot of steel clients that these people do a lot of adjustments with respect to scrap generation. That is actually their real profit in that industry. Now, being aware with what are the current prevailing business trends in steel industry, it helps me to identify what is the exact burning ratio. For example, if the burning ratio is 0.90 or 1% and the client is showing 2% as the burning loss, that means he has done some nuisance with respect to manipulation of accounts in the scrap category. So if I'm aware of what are the current trends in this industry, I'll be able to do audit with respect to my steel clients in a much better way. Coming on next. Being a financial literate, it helps me to increase, become more competitive in this current market. I have to offer something extra to my privileged clients that can be in terms of my knowledge, that can be in terms of the resources I'm trying to offer. Value addition to the client. Client pays for compliance. Client pays you when you offer some value addition to his business. So I am not a compliance machine. I am not a due date calendar. I am like a value addition maker to my client's business, to his revenues, to his profits, to his goodwill. Important in this is I need to understand my client and his DNA. The most important factor is we are not financial doctors, we are not like a general practitioners in this field. We are like specific, you can say at an MD level, giving specialized guidance to our clients. Treating your clients well. We receive a lot of respect, but do we treat our clients well? So the important factor in this is understanding your client well, respecting your client well on all the parameters. Let's try to understand the nexus of this with the communication pact. Let's take a very practical example. Being a chartered accountant, this scenario we face on off. A new client drops into an office or an existing client wants to venture into a new business or it's a diversification. So as a chartered accountant, a lot of options play by proprietorship, partner limited liability, private limited again, public limited or a private limited. So now, before advising your clients how to proceed, so this all options we are aware, academically we are sound, technically we know about them, taxation wise we are very much clear, but there has to be a lot of thought flow while advising your clients how to go about. Let's take practically. A client wants to form a new entity. So now, if the age of the client is around 60 plus, so my first question to the client would be about the business continuity, because somewhere age is a big concern for me. Life is uncertain. So what about the continuity of the business? What about the succession plan of the business if the age of promoter is more than 60? So if a person with an aged more than 60 comes to my office with a new business venture, my first question that I should question him is, are your business? So in that scenario, with such a profile, I won't advise him to go for a proprietorship. or a partnership. So in that, options open to me, or the preferable option is a private limited company. Again, we are aware there's a perpetual succession, there's a continuity to business, there's a separate legal existence. So again, the first parameter on which my decision making would tremendously differ is the age of the promoters. Next is the business model. So whether the business idea is a short-term venture, it is a long-term venture, it is a project base. For example, we could see the current trends. There is a landowner, there is a developer of the property. They come together for developing a particular project. Now, in this scenario, if the business model is for a specific project, it is, for example, 3 to 5 years, we should advise our clients to go for an LLP because that would be project based. When that project is over, we can close the LLP, we can close the liabilities. Next parameter or next concern should be the type of business. Now, you could have seen with your clients, if a particular client is a pharma, if a particular client is, for example, into from a pharma industry, you could see the people in pharma industry, the people in software industry prefer a private limited companies. The reason is a lot of investment in this industries is done on the marketing, specifically in pharma industry. A lot of branding is done with respect to products. A lot of huge investment is done with respect to the marketing endeavors. So this for a private limited company. If you go for a construction industry, now in construction industry, again, if it is for a specific project, people would, we should advise our clients to go for an LLP because that would be project based. So depending on what kind of industry it is, again, a classic example is a software industry. We could see a lot of software industries go for a private limited form of organization because the reason is a lot of their clientele comes from outside India. So if a person is from outside India and he wants to deal with a person in India, the more assured form of entity would be private limited company. As we all are aware, being a private limited company, all the documents are available in the public domain. To incorporate it, to close it, again, it is a big legal process. So the chances of, fraud, the chances of misrepresentation, again, in case of a private limited company. So if it is a software industry, it is a pharma industry, you should advise your clients to go for a private limited company. Now, investment of funds. So now the most oxygen, you can say, or the important element in a business is the fund requirement. So what is the quantum of fund requirement to carry on that business? So depending on the fund requirement, again, we need to categorize whether this fund has to be owned fund, it has to be borrowed fund. If you talk of borrowed, whether it is secured or unsecured. If you talk of secured funds, again, you require some collateral security to offer to the bank to give you the loan. So now, depending on your client profile, what kind of fund requirement is there in the business, you should advise for what firm to go ahead. So if the fund requirement is huge, if the fund requirement is more than what the promoter has, definitely I would advise my client to go for an LLP or a private limited company. If my client wants to venture big, my client wants to take money from the public, then we all are aware only a public limited company can accept funds from the public. So these small parameters have a long lasting impact on the client. So depending on what is my client's profile, depending on what is the requirement of funds, my selection of entity would tremendously differ. Now, with respect to collateral security, my client wants to venture into business, but he doesn't have a collateral security. He's depending on some outside funds. So now making the person who has in its name the collateral security, making him the member in a private limited company or making him a partner in a partnership firm or making him a designated partner in an LLP would serve my purpose, because the banks would ask you for the guarantee as well as the collateral security of the partners. Another thing is the number of promoters. As we all are aware, for a partnership firm, we should have minimum 2 partners. For LLP, we should have minimum 2 partners and 2 designated partners. Again, if you compare both firm, we have a restriction of 20 partners, but there is no such restriction in an LLP. If you talk of a private limited company, minimum we require 2, maximum is 200. For public limited, there is no upper cap. So depending on how much, what is the number of promoters they are going to venture, what would be the controlling interest, who wants to control the entity, accordingly the shareholding pattern or the profit sharing or the investment pattern would be decided. Next is generation of business. We all are aware a lot of government businesses, for example, the contracting businesses like road contractors, the irrigation department contractors, this business is generated based on the turnovers that you have achieved in the previous year. You become eligible for big tenders based on the turnovers that you have already achieved. So in that scenario, it is advisable that you go for an LLP or a private limited company. The reason is, if you're carrying on this business in a proprietorship banner and suddenly life is uncertain, something happens to that proprietor, the entire license value in terms of the credentials and the turnover gets ended with the end of the proprietor. But that isn't the case with respect to the LLP and the private limited company. So again, you are into what kind of business, on what parameters you get that business. So if the turnover is the parameter and you want to have a long lasting business, then definitely go for a better model. Next is the gestation period. By gestation period is by how many years that project will be operationalized. We all are aware the infrastructure projects take many years to materialize. The construction phase is long. The revenues that get generated are after many years. So depending on what is the gestation period, what is the teething period, what is the growth phase of that business, and what is the development phase, the mode of the entity would differ. The most important facet in this is the business succession strategy. We could have observed with your clients that of late in 5 to 10 years, there is a paradigm shift with respect to there's a lot of transition or there is a lot of conversion from proprietorship to a better form of organization. The reasons are many, maybe the limited liability, maybe we can have more than a couple of people who want to venture together, maybe there can be a shortage or lack of funds. So the important facet in any business is with respect to the continuity of that business. So now important is what is the business continuity or the business succession strategy. So there is no business succession strategy with respect to proprietorship. Moment the proprietor goes, the entity ends there. The credentials, the goodwill ends there. So now, while advising to your clients, we should understand the DNA of that particular client. We should understand what is the family structure of that client, whether it is a family owned business, what and who wants to control that business, what would be the roles and liabilities of particular family members in that business. Another important thing is, specifically when we want to take over a particular business, is important is we should not forget the probability of the future litigation that is going to happen. Specifically, if you could see the litigation areas in a private limited form of organization is, you can talk of share transfers, there can be litigation on the director change, there can be issues with respect to allotment of shares. So being a chartered accountant, I need to be extra precautious, or I need to apply my mind more diligently while executing the share transfer, because with the share transfer, the ownership pattern changes, the controlling stake changes, the roles and liabilities of the promoter changes. We all are aware the directorship is the important element in a limited liability company. So directors are controlling the entity. So all practically the running decision making of the company is with the directors. So somewhere we need to understand if there's some director change, and this documents we are certifying or we are advising our clients for the change of directors, the necessary documents are there in place before certifying such documents. Another thing is allotment of shares. Moment you allot new shares, there is change in the ownership patterns. There is change in the current shareholding pattern. Again, we all are aware there are two types of resolutions. One is the ordinary resolution, one is the special resolution. With the allotment of shares, moment the shareholding pattern changes, the controlling interest also changes. So somewhere working more diligently with your clients in these areas is a must. The most important is there should not be conflict of roles and liabilities between the promoter groups. So somewhere making proper designations, for example, director marketing, director production, so that the individual roles and liabilities are free. Another important facet while advising your client becomes the purchase of immovable property. We all are aware, moment you talk of immovable property, stamp duty is hit. So if a client wants to purchase a industrial land for the business, so you have to be very crystal clear that land has to be purchased in what capacity. So your entity should be ready before going for acquisition of the immovable property, because stamp duty repercussion is huge. Another important facet, if you talk of acquisition of property, is the acquisition of movable property. So we all are aware, if you want to acquire a vehicle, the RTO taxes in case of the passenger vehicles is higher if a business entity purchases it, but it is on a lower side if an individual purchases it. That is not the case with the commercial vehicles. That has to be purchased in the name of the business. Again, the important aspect is business requires a lot of people, a lot of experts, whom business they want to lock these people. The reason is they want to lock these people for example, a specific project. So now if you make that particular person as a director, so what are you doing, what are you ensuring that he is involved in the business, plus you're fixing his responsibility also with respect to decision making of his technical expertise. So how you want to lock up people, depending on that also you should decide the mode of which mode you want to select. The most important facet these days is safeguarding the female members. We have seen a lot of companies wherein the female members are being appointed as directors. Yes, there are a lot of repercussions in terms. If we all are aware, all the responsibilities are laid on the directors in case of private limited companies. All the responsibilities of all the lapses under all the government laws are rested on the designated partners in case of LLP. So now, if for example, we have issued a PDC check and that check doesn't get honored, the repercussions, the legal repercussions are huge, and these repercussions uh, can end with prosecutions also. So somewhere we need to understand how to safeguard the female members also. So what I wanted to cover with respect to these two slides is that when a client comes into your office for discussion or client is communicating with you, we should be clear with our thought flow on what basis we would advise him to go ahead. So our advice would differ based on the inputs that he is giving to us. But being a prudent chartered accountant, being a diligent chartered accountant, we should be mentally clear what are the repercussions of all this. So somewhere discussing this with your client, communicating this to your client on proper terms, these are the parameters, this is the flow of the thought, and what are the legal repercussions if we don't do this. So somewhere, if I am thinking of all these options, I may be very much clear with respect to taxation. Being a chartered accountant, that's my domain area. With respect to auditing, that is my important core area. But at the same time, if I have strong communication skills, if my basic or my business communication skills are clear, I would be able to communicate this with my client. So getting this inputs from the client, what is his long-term vision, how he sees the business would grow, what are the other risks, what we cannot see in this business. So somewhere clarity of thought becomes very much important while discussing these parameters with your clients. Again, whatever entity we form, whatever entity we advise to our clients, this has a long lasting impact. So it is not a short term goal that you should incorporate an entity and go ahead. Somewhere when we look for a business, the business has to be looked with the perspective of long term vision plus with the perspective of growth, and again with the future oriented model. So these are few parameters, but again becomes very much relevant. Important thing these days, we would have encountered in our offices that there are a lot of clients who are inquiring for the takeover of some companies. A company wants to take over an existing company. So somewhere we need to be diligent enough, and we would execute all the documents, but we should be more diligent and advise our clients to go for some extra documentation like a shareholders agreement, a share purchase agreement. So what it does, this extra document wherein our drafting skills are tested, that would safeguard the client in all parameters. There may be some lapses in the documents we've executed, for example, the resolution, the share transfer, the minutes, etc. But if we properly draft the share purchase agreement, the shareholders agreement, we are safeguarding our client, because again, a shareholders agreement is legally binding on all the parties. So somewhere we need to be diligent enough with respect to our drafting skills. So the purpose of this financial literacy and its implication with respect to business communication is our written skills have to be strong on all fronts, because being a chartered accountant, directly or indirectly, we do a lot of drafting. So this drafting is a form of a written business communication skill. So this drafting, again, if you talk of a partnership and you're drafting a partnership deed, that means you are using your drafting skills. That means you are using your knowledge of the commercial laws, you're using your knowledge of business laws. If you talk of a company, so that means you are using your drafting skills for preparation of the memorandum. You're using your drafting skills for articles of association. If you talk of an LLP, you're using your skills for an LLP agreement. So somewhere this thought flow, this basics of entity should be there. Okay. Let's try to, so if you want to put it in a nutshell, what is the success mantra? Success in any industry relies on the relationship, whether with co-workers, maybe the clients, suppliers, investors, and other stakeholders. We need to keep them happy. When you can communicate properly and considerate in dealing with others, you create engaging, productive, and long-term business relationships. It is important to learn the technical side of a business, but it is also equally important to learn how to conduct and communicate in the company of others. So again, we being in service industry, we interact with a lot of people. So somewhere we may be strong technically, but again, we should have that neck how to communicate with people of all the age groups, people with various positions, people with various level of experience. Okay. Another facet which I wanted to link financial literacy is the commercial laws. We all have heard the word commercial laws a lot, but the commercial laws has no fixed meaning in India. As a rule, there is no distinction between the commercial and non-commercial contracts. The concerned enactments are generally uniform in the application to these contracts. In fact, there are no commercial courts in this country. Broadly speaking, a discussion on the commercial law may include within its ambit the following enactments: the Indian Contract Act, the Negotiable Instrument Act, the Transfer of Property Act, the Sale of Goods Act, the Indian Partnership Act, the Arbitration and the Conciliation Act, the Companies Act, the Specific Relief Act. I think most of us have come across somewhere during our practice with respect to these acts. Now, let's try to identify the nexus between the business communication and the commercial laws. So if I'm talking of a basic act which we use almost every day in our offices, is the Indian Contract Act 1872. So coming to the basics of that act is the essentials of a valid contract. So important is intention to create a contract, the intention of the parties, the offer and the acceptance, the consideration, the capacity to enter into a contract, the free consent of the parties, and the lawful object. So these are the 6 parameters or the 6 important elements of the contract. Let's try to link this practically. So I want to enter into a contract and I want to see whether these 6 parameters are fulfilled or not. So how business communication, that is dealing with your client, interacting with your client, and understanding his intentions becomes important. So first parameter is clarification of intention. Now, when I talk in terms of commercial laws, I need to understand whether that is legally enforceable. The intention of the client may not be legally enforceable. So whether that intention can be put in black and white and whether that is legally enforceable or legally valid. Another is conveying offer and acceptance. So when I talk of conveying offer and acceptance in commercial laws, I'm talking of fixing the terms and conditions of a contract. So in any contract, the terms and conditions have to be clear. If there's ambiguity in the contract with respect to terms and conditions, that may lead to future litigation. So again, what are the offer and acceptance? What is offered by the parties? Whether that is accepted by the parties, that needs to be clearly jotted. Another facet, if I want to link, is information about the payments and considerations. So commercial law says, how would you settle the commercial transactions? So for any contract, there has to be certain consideration. If that contract you want to legally enforce it, there has to be clarity with respect to the commercial transactions or the commercial consideration of that contract. Another is declaration on the capacity to enter a contract. Now, a classic example of this would be a minor cannot enter into a contract, or the minor can enter into a contract only for the benefit. So, deciding whether the agreement is valid or void. If there is an incompetent person who has entered into an agreement, the agreement becomes void ab initio. Another facet, if you want to link it, is communicate consent out of the free will of the parties. So now, if you want to prove that contract is a legally valid contract, there has to be whether the contract is whether there was some coercion or whether there was some influence which was used while dealing with that contract. Another important facet with respect to business communication is declaring object of the communication, that is the subject of agreement. So when you talk of commercial laws, you need to consider the legality of the object and the scope of the contract. So with respect to this decision or this discussion we had, I want to elaborate on the point, while drafting a simple partnership deed also, directly, indirectly, we cover all these points. If it has to be a valid contract, if that partnership deed has to be a legal document in the eyes of the law, while dealing with the business communication facet, we deal with all this, whether what is the intention of the party, whether there is an offer and acceptance by both the parties, what is the consideration. So if you talk of consideration, what is the profit sharing ratio, what is the capital contribution, whether the partners who are entering into the business are can enter into a contract, what is the legal age of them, whether there is a free consent or there is some influence on them, what is the object of the partnership, because a partnership deed cannot be formed for illegal objects. So directly, indirectly, we are doing this work in our offices, but somewhere clarity in thought with respect to what to communicate with the client with respect to ascertaining the implication of this in commercial laws becomes very much important. We would have all drafted a memorandum and articles in our offices. So now when we are drafting an article of association or the memorandum of association, what are we trying to do? We are trying to fix the role and the responsibilities with respect to the directors, the role and responsibility of the members, which becomes a legal document. So important facet in this is there are a lot of commercial laws that is there. The important thing becomes the application of these commercial laws. Another thing, if you want to link this with the Negotiable Instrument Act, let's see, the law related to negotiable instrument is contained in the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Widely used negotiable instruments under the settlement of commercial transactions are the promissory notes, the bills of exchange, the checks. Further, whether or not a particular document is a negotiable instrument depend upon its usage or the custom. Let's try to do nexus of business communication with the commercial laws in Negotiable Instrument Act. So if I am talking of the business communication frontier, my first and paramount consideration would be discuss and decide the nature of the liability, whether it is a conditional liability, whether it's an unconditional undertaking to pay. When I come to commercial laws, my angle of thought flow would be to ascertain whether the instrument issued is valid and negotiable or not. Again, if I talk of business communication, it is discuss and decide the nature of liability owned. On that basis, issue either promissory note, bill of exchange or check, including the post-dated checks. So promissory note is issued by the debtor in favor of the principal creditor and bill of exchange is drawn in the favor of creditor. However, checks is issued for settlement of any kind of liability. So understanding the nexus behind or the intention of my client while putting the consideration of commercial law becomes important for me to understand the legal repercussions of that. If again I talk of business communication, stand on the settlement of liability shall be clear in case of issue of any kind of instrument as stated above. This will help in resolving dispute. So if I look from the angle of commercial laws, law provides certain conditions where liability is undisputed. Hence, clarification is required while issuing the instrument. We all are aware with respect to 138 cases in case of check bouncing. The repercussions are huge. So you advising your clients about the legal repercussions becomes very much important. Again, a very classic example of this would be, for example, if I am auditing sales. Now, uh, sales, there's a specific act, that is Sales of Goods Act. So now what constitutes sales, whether that sale transaction is complete, for that I need to be very much clear with the Sale of Goods Act. So again, if I'm talking of some bank transactions, I need to be very much clear with respect to Negotiable Instrument Act. So what I want to say in this is the knowledge of this basic laws with respect to the Indian Contract Act, the Negotiable Instrument Act, the Transfer of Property Act, the Sale of Goods Act, the Indian Partnership Act, the Companies Act becomes very much important. So in our day-to-day practice or in our day-to-day routine work also, somewhere this all the acts are directly or indirectly being used. But the problem is we being chartered accountants, we are focusing more on the technical aspect with respect to taxation and auditing. But whether that basic document, on what basis the transaction is effected, the basic document on which basis the legal liability is getting ascertained, are we paying attention? Are we giving justice on that front is question. So again, whatever work you're doing in your offices, if I'm trying to do a certain company work, I need to be very crystal clear with respect to the implications of that with respect to the Companies Act 2013. We all are aware the kind of penalties, the kind of prosecution provisions that are there in the act is enormous. So for a small lapse or the small omission with respect to the provisions of Companies Act, you are paying penalties around 1 lakh to 5 lakh rupees. Who's going to bear this? Again, for some sections, there is prosecution also. So before venturing or before advising a client with respect to the financial dealings, we have to be somewhere prepared with the technical and the legal repercussions with respect to all these acts. Amit sir, should I continue or the time allotted is over?
You can go for 5 minutes, no problem.
I should go for 5 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes. Okay, no problem.
I'll continue for 5 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So what I want to say, before you advise your client, our prime and foremost duty is to consider the taxation impact. We may go for tax saving, we may go for the tax planning. Everything can be done. But somewhere this lack of proper knowledge of commercial laws in dealing and advising with the client would somewhere we need to improve on this front. So I request to all the participants, please go through this basic bare acts. This would help you to sustain more in your practice. This would give you more an added advantage compared to other chartered accountants, because moment I am clear with this basic laws, I can firmly and with confirm thought flow say this is the way the transaction has to be effected. So with this, I would like to end. Any queries? Amish sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I would.
Any queries of Anusha? You can start your video. No issue.
Okay, sir.
I think, sir, there is a no query.
Okay.
You can conclude then. Second
Yes,
speaker is online only.
Okay. Thank you so much for Andheri Oshiwara Study Circle Mumbai for providing this opportunity. Thank you, Amish sir, for this wonderful opportunity. You are a wonderful conveyor. You coordinated very well, and I truly appreciate your efforts. And thank you all committee members for providing me this opportunity to share my views on this topic. Thank you so much.
So, coming to your vote of thanks, CA Tikam sir, this topic why I selected because there is one client of mine who is an MBBS surgeon. He always tell me कि हम लोग को डॉक्टर में बहुत कुछ पढ़ाया, हम बहुत पैसे कमा रहे हैं, पर एक चीज में बिहाइंड है, अगर हमको हमारे इसमें एक सब्जेक्ट दे देते थे अकाउंटेंसी का और टैक्सेशन का, हम आपको भी पीछे छोड़ देते थे. Because we are lacking in financial literacy and we have to come to you for all the advice. छोटे से छोटा कुछ चीज भी एक्सपेंस करना रहेगा तो they ask us. So
Right.
that much is it. On that thought, I thought that let's we have a financial literacy totally background, how to manage. अभी सब online business है and it's a totally competitive business. Coming to your sir topic, you had justified with the topic, plus you had given the correctness, the full background, full ideas to the members. So I, Amit Shangoy, with my conveyor, Deepak Maheshwari ji, on behalf of Andheri Oshiwara Study Circle, I give a hearty vote of thanks. In future, sir, if public gathering allowed, we will surely call to you, Mumbai. Thanks
Thank
for
you, sir.
giving the valuable time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tikam sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Your deliberation was superb, and I can see that more than 85 participants were there listening to you, and it was a great deliberation, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So now coming to the second topic of the day, without wasting much time, it's now it's a main that how to increase our CA practice after listening to CA Tikam sir. CA Saran sir will throw some light on this. So I request CA Sachin Verma ji to kindly introduce the speaker of the day.
Thank you, Amish. Good morning, everyone. Our next topic of today is tools for CA in practice to improve productivity. So productivity is something that every one of us are looking into, considering today's situation. Everyone is struggling to meet the targets and everything. So yeah, we are looking forward to this session today. Speaker for this topic is CA Saran Kumar, sir. CA Saran Kumar is qualified chartered accountant. He has completed his diploma in information system audit from ICAI. He is also a certified holder in forensic accounting and fraud detection and course on concurrent audit from ICAI. He has worked with Microsoft and Credit Suisse Bank for more than 4 years. Presently, he is the managing partner at T. Satyanarayana and Company. His specialization includes data analytics, forensic audits, transaction audits under IBC, automation of financial process, reconciliation, etc. Having overall more than 10 years of experience in handling data analytical tools in MS Excel, etc., he has been a regular faculty for FAFD certification course conducted by ICAI. He has been the guest speaker for the seminar conducted by ICAI and other institutions on the topic of data analytics with MS Excel audits under CBS environment, Excel as a bank audit tool. So one thing that was not mentioned in this profile of Sir was that he is also a co-founder, or he's also a founder of Excelism.in. With this, I will request C.S. Saran Kumar sir to take over. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, all of you. Thank you, Sachin sir, for the great introduction. And thanks, Amish sir, for the opportunity. Very recently, I've connected to Mumbai, one of the CPE study circle, and I think somewhere he might have watched the video and called me. And I truly appreciate your effort of coordinating with me and taking me onto the platform, and happy to associate with all of you. Friends, welcome you all to the session. In next 45 minutes, 1 hour, I'm going to talk on tools for CES in practice to increase the productivity. Generally, for me, talking on MS Excel or Power Query or Tally, which will be much more simpler, because in those cases, I need not to prepare any PPT. Generally, my Excel session PPT is only having 2 slides. One is title slide, the other one is thank you slide. In between, everything is Excel application. But unfortunately, these topics where I need to, because I'm very poor in presentation, but I compiled some of the information to show you. I'm sure you all will appreciate the tools which I'm going to display here. So throughout next 45 minutes, I'm going to talk more about my experience because until we use the application, it's very difficult for us to get the hands on. So whatever the applications which I have used, I'm going to give you little elaborate, and whatever the applications which I tried as a try now, probably I can tell you what are the pros and cons of the different applications. So, as you know, the simple disclaimer, I'm going to talk about many products. So I'm not endorsing any of the product. I'm not even promoting. So I request all the readers to take a caution before choosing any of the application. This is just for the beneficiary of the session. I'm taking the reference of different companies. So as I said, I'm going to cover my experience 80% and other topics 20%. So let's first look into because the topic is tools for what? Everything is a tool. We all are connecting now through the Zoom. So I feel Zoom is a tool. So it's an application through which we are connecting each other. So the interaction is happening very well. You can ask the question, I can answer, I can share the screen and so on. So is just Zoom application is sufficient? No. To make our practice more effective, we need to use so many tools. Glad that I'm happy that I worked with good companies, good corporates, though post qualification, I worked for only 2 companies. One company is a software company where generally finance domain is a supporting role. I was in the Microsoft for almost 1.5 years. The second company is a bank where finance domain is much more authenticated. So generally in the banks, they use hundreds of applications. I always surprised how the staff learn all these applications, because in banks every time they started implementing one or other new application, because it's not just one application through which they work. Later, after I started my practice, even I got to know in our CA practice also, if we think that okay, one application is sufficient, okay, that's not sufficient for our practice. Many applications we need to learn day in and day out, because if we are into only maybe the tax representation or else we are in the litigation consulting, maybe in those cases, just if you know the Word document, if you can write a reply better, I think that is sufficient. You will just you will go to the department, you will sit before the authority and you can counter for the questions, whatever they are going to ask. But I'm sure the practice is changing in different facets. It's not like earlier practice. In fact, now even government is not expecting us to sit before the authority. If anything is there, you write a mail or you can go to our application, maybe income tax department website or GST website, you put whatever you want, you upload whatever you want, we will take it. So everything we are connecting through the tool. But many a times when I interact with a lot of people, in fact, I'm one of the faculty for forensic accounting and fraud detection course. Many people are struggle to find applications, correct applications. So in my next couple of slides, I'm going to show you applications which you already know, but how to use those applications, and also what are the pros of those applications. So tools for storing and retrieving the data, because let's say I started my own office. I cannot keep, even if you visit my office at Hyderabad, in fact, I welcome everyone. Whenever you come to Hyderabad, you can give me a call. In my office, you will not even find 5% of the documentation on the table, because we don't keep any documentation on the table. When I did my articles 10, 15 years back, CA office means generally they should have so many papers on the table and almaras has to fill with the data and so on. So then even the client feels that, yes, this is a CA office. Many a times people come to my office and they ask, Saran, are you really doing CA practice? Because I'm not finding any physical files on the tables. Because we are keeping 95% of the documentation into some space in a virtual mode, so that whenever it is required, I can retrieve the data back. So the first and foremost tools which we need to learn, how to store the information and in which tool, and how to retrieve the data. If I store the data into a folder, let's say I have stored on my desktop, my staff has to retry that information because one day I was absent and my staff has to work on that particular file. Then what I need to do, earlier days we used to give a call to our staff, we even share the password of the principal laptop, and they'll log in into our system and they'll take the files through pen drive or Gmail, then they'll take those files into their system, they'll start working. So I need to look for a
tool where I can have a collaboration with my team, maybe collaboration with even the clients, where I can easily share or exchange the data. So I feel first two things are most important for the chartered accountants. Remaining all, you can find one or other tool because hundreds of tools are there. But what type of tools we need to use for storing the data and retrieving the information? Earlier days, we used to have, not only we, a lot of even big companies used to have on-site servers. You know, many chartered accountant offices, even now they are having a server. So one computer, they call it as a server. Once first, whoever the employee visit the office, they have to on the server. Before leaving, they should shut down the server. So as long as they are into the same network, same LAN, they are in a position to access the document using that server. Remaining all systems are accessed, the users are the clients. But after the COVID situation, after in the lockdown situation, many chartered accountants called me, Sharan, in my building, one person got impacted with the COVID, so my entire building got locked. How to access the information which is there in my system in the locked office? It's very difficult because you are using an offline server. In fact, there is no network connection also. And if you want to access that, that server has to be on every time. So that's the reason there is a lot of need now. People must understand the cloud servers. In fact, cloud server is very simple, easy to configure, because it's not in fact configured. It is like how you sign up for your Gmail, as simple as it. So there are so many cloud servers. I don't even recommend the on-site server because you have to maintain it. You should have a infrastructure properly. You should have someone, a network engineer or system administrator, and you should have a proper backup policy. So these all you should list down. And if it is a bigger office, maybe you are giving a certifications, or if you are more involving into the forensic audits also, sometimes even departments may call you how great the compliance you are maintaining with respect to the client's data, because they may be sharing CPE information to you to do some analysis with respect to the investigation, but they are not sure how secure your data is. That means again you need to go for all the certifications from CISA, all the security related certifications and so on. That is the problem with the on-site server. Whereas when it comes to the cloud server, it is very simple. You just need to download the offline, whatever the tool, then that acts as a server. Once you shut down the machine, you can go to the web, you can access it. Let's say web is not there. In your phone, you can download that app, you can access it. Wherever you want, you can access the information. The very important cloud servers are Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox. I'm not recommending any third-party cloud servers here because, in fact, there are so many cloud servers are there, but these all are very famous. Let us assume all these servers which are maintaining cloud having proper compliance. So I need not to go for separate compliance for this. So as you all know, Google Drive is a very simple application. Whenever you have a Google account, by default, you have a Google Drive. Now let me click this. I can store this entire information online. The same data even I can access from my phone. The same data even I can access from my system. So it's basically whenever I have this particular folder into my computer, when I put a file, because I connected to the network, the file will get synced and that will get stored into the cloud. So when I go to the web, when I open the drive, the same file I can even see here. When I go to my phone, because these days most of the 80% of the cases we are using Android, and 20 to 30% of the cases we are using iPhone. In the Android phones, by default, it is preloaded with the drive, Gmail and everything. If you go to your phone with the same account, you'll find the same file. So it's a seamless process. Once I store the information, I can retrieve from any point, any device. So this is the Google Drive. If you want, you can try it. By default, they give 30 GB. I think they give 15 GB because mine is Sharan at excelism.in. That means I have taken one Google Suite account which cost me 150 rupees every month, right? So I got 30 GB. So 30 GB is a fair data which is okay to use. If you want more storage, you can buy it. These days buying the storage is very cheapest. Maybe 1 GB, not even 0.01 cents, right? So this is the Google Drive. OneDrive by default comes with your Hotmail account. Let's go to the office. I don't know how many of you are using a licensed version of Microsoft. If you would like to take the Microsoft Office licensed version, I recommend you to take Microsoft 365 than version 2019 and so on. Because these version 2019 and so on are perpetual license, that is good thing, but you will not have the updations. When you take the Microsoft 365, it is having the bunch of applications. For your information, okay, let me just go to my office. It is having these many applications you are getting. You don't even believe 300 to 500 rupees you are going to spend. So in one organization, one license, if you take it, you can use for 5 users. Each user can use for 5 devices. That means if I get a license of enterprise, maybe business pro, I need to spend 600 rupees. For 600 rupees, these all apps I can use it. You know, for how many people? 5 users. So 5 users, each user can access the same in 5 devices. That can be tab, that can be mobile, that can be computer, that can be anything. 5 devices for every user. So you can have Excel, you can have Word, everything is there. I'm going to talk about how Planner works, how Fonts works, and so on. So here you are having even the OneDrive access where you are going to store the information. Let me just click apps. If you go to OneDrive, this is exactly like the Google Drive. If you go here, this is the place where I can store the information. Even sometimes whenever I'm at a home, I don't have a system. Suddenly one of the client is asking me to raise the invoice or maybe to write something in a Word document and send across. If that is the case, I can simply go to my Microsoft app in my phone. You can even download all those apps with the same user account. Once I create any Word document, I can type like any regular chatting. Once I store it as a PDF, that will get stored into the PDF. That will get stored into this OneDrive, and I can send across to my client. That means my information is getting stored. Friends, it's not like earlier days where to get one document. You know, I still remember when I did my articles, or even before my student days, generally when a client comes to the CA office for a document, at least you need to wait for 1 hour or 2 hours, because our staff are keep on searching for the document, because physical document, because we may generally skip it. So sometimes we may miss the physical document while carrying. But if it is a cloud, you will have the information everywhere. So this is one thing which I recommend, either Google Drive or OneDrive. But in my office, I don't use Google Drive or OneDrive, though I have licensed version. I somehow like the Dropbox. I don't know how many of you have this Dropbox license. Let me show you how great the Dropbox works. This is my office Dropbox. These all are the folders. You know, I'll just try to take the Excel so that you can understand how I use in my office, so that you may follow the same thing. In my office, there are 10 staff. Okay, just for the example, I'm trying to give a case study. I'll ask everyone to download free Dropbox. Okay, free Dropbox will have 2 GB space, right? So I'll ask my staff to download free Dropbox with their email ID, and they are having 2 GB space. Then I'll take 2 terabyte space by paying per month 1500 rupees. It is just 1500 rupees, right? One account. I'll not take for all the clients, all the staff. I'll only take one account, that I call it as a maybe server at tsnandco.com. What I'll do, this will be there only in the partners system, because the same account you can open in any number of devices. Whenever we want to share any information to our staff, it's very simple. For example, let's say today's PPT, let's say I want to share with you all. I can simply take this, I can go to this folder, go to the desktop, then Control C, and I can just go to the Dropbox, Control V. I can just do Control V. Oops, oh my God. Let's do Control V. I'm sorry, I think I have taken the wrong folder. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So let's go here. I'm just trying to take this folder. I'll just go to the Dropbox. It is seamless, even more secure. Now you can simply write it. This is basically trying to sync. Now I can simply write it, and there's an option to share. Since all 10 staff are having the Dropbox account, let's say this particular client handled by a staff called, let's say Shweta@hiren.com. I can simply make it a edit access so that they can share information, they can edit the data. Once I share it, this particular folder will appear into the system of my staff named Shweta. Once this work is done, what I'll be doing, I'll go back to the share and I can remove the access. Simply, I can just go back here and I can delete Shweta from here so that the folder even will get deleted from the Shweta's computer. The advantage of using the Dropbox, in fact, the same features are even there in the Google Drive and OneDrive. Since I don't use those two, but I use Dropbox, so I'm just trying to demonstrate. The advantage of this particular method is, wherever you're finding a person symbol icon, that means these all are the shared folders. Okay. So the advantage of this is all the time my staff will have the folders what is required, right? Once work is done, I'll recall all the folders. So I give very clear instruction to all my staff that please don't store the information on the desktop. Once in a week, I surprise visit their desktops. If any information is there, I'll tell them very clearly, I'll give a warning. If it continues, then probably we'll take an action. In my office, no staff keep the information on the desktop. Everything will be there in the Dropbox because whatever the work they are doing with respect to the client. So once they store the information, I can take this information back. So every time my staff will have only the data which is required for them. Because of this, there is a lot of security. So your staff will not be in a position to forward the entire data and so on. The advantage of using the Dropbox is, let's say mistakenly if I delete any of the folder, let's say this folder got deleted. Mistakenly if I delete any of the folder, this will be there for 30 days online. I can go back to the same Dropbox.com. I can log in into my server account. I can retrieve last 30 days data. That is what another beautiful feature of the information. So that's the reason these days, most of the information, whatever which is very much required to me, everything I'm keeping into the Dropbox. If you go into TSN and companies, our firm and partners data, including our photos and everything. This is one partner information, including their PAN card, everything. You can say what is required for the office, we keep it into the server, we can access from the phone. Let's say suddenly client calls and they are looking for some information. These days, that's the reason Poonawalla, as you all know, recently ICAIs is tied up with the Poonawalla Finance. When they ask for a documentation, we immediately say, just give us 1 minute. So we go to the Gmail, then we'll draft an email and we'll attach from the Dropbox. It's very simple. Less than 1 minute, we can share the information because that is already there in the system. So that is what probably you can even try. I'm sure you all may be trying either one or other cloud related application. These all are very cheapest. Generally, we think these all are a little costly, but when the work quality get improved, we can charge premium from the client. So then you will get to know the power of these tools. So these all are very famous tools you can try. You can consider trying it. Then let's look into the next one, communication tools. In fact, Zoom is very popular, especially, in fact, even I did not tried much Zoom before the pandemic. Now, after the, Corona pandemic, Zoom became very much famous, though there are so many, guidelines by government of India that Zoom having some security issues, but people are using it because we are not sharing something very confidential information through the Zoom. So it is okay. But immediately after Zoom got this access, Google released meetings. Whenever you just go to the Google account, are you finding here a meeting? This is exactly like a Zoom. As of now, this meeting is free if you have a Hangouts. Okay. So in the same way, in the Microsoft, you have the Teams. This is the Teams. If you have Microsoft 365, you need not to subscribe for each individual item. Once you pay for one license, 5 users can use it. Every user can use all these applications. These many applications they can use. Let me just click this. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Yeah. Let me just click apps. just to show you. You know, they'll get the access to these many applications. This includes the Teams. In the Teams, you can have a call, you can have a video conference, you can put the charts here, you can have a note, you can share the desktop. Lot many things are there. In fact, as I told you, if something you are exchanging here, that will automatically get stored into the OneDrive, because this entirely is collaborative. If something is happening at one place, that will automatically get stored into the OneDrive space or the folder. So that is what the Teams you can even try. This is actually having even the free try now. You can try for 30 days. And this is as good as Zoom. In fact, for many meetings, I tried with the Zoom. Very recently, one meeting we tried with the Teams, and you can also try this having so much of information. Okay, so Zoom is there, Cisco is there. You can even try GoToMeeting, through which GoTo is one of the earlier Cisco application. This is now it has taken by LogMeIn. So for the trainings, you can use GoToTraining. For the meetings, you can use GoToMeeting. Zoho Meeting is also very much familiar. In fact, Zoho is one company where what the Microsoft applications are we are using, what applications we are using with respect to Google, everything is there in the Zoho. In fact, much more better than Microsoft and Google. But of course, Microsoft and Google are having a lot of brand value, so we always prefer to go. But Zoho, if you start exploring, this is also having so many applications. Even Zoho Meetings also you can consider for communication exchange among your clients and among your staff. When it comes to the sharing the screen, AnyDesk is very popular, as you all know. TeamViewer is also known. Microsoft Remote Desktop is generally by default you will get it along with your Windows. So if you have an IP access, you can connect to the other person. 90% of the cases I use AnyDesk, and 10% of the cases I use TeamViewer until this is very much required. Whenever there is a server related, then probably I use the Microsoft Remote Desktop. Okay, so this is with respect to the screens. When it comes to the scheduling and tracking, now let's look into the work. Now I allocated a work to the staff. Then staff has to track it. They have to manage properly. Earlier days, in a traditional way, we used to carry a notebook. There we used to write each and every point. And next day we'll carry all the carry forward points and we'll strike off whatever is done. These days, it's not the way it happens. In the Google, we call it as a planner. You have a Google, sorry. In a Google, you have, I think, if I go here, one second. If I just go here, this is like a Keep. Keep is something where you can have a notes of everything that you can even consider for the to-do list. Pipilio is something, in fact, I even tried when I was in the earlier form. This is Bangalore-based company. I, in fact, got to know that our ICAI also got some tied up recently with this company. This is exclusively for the chartered accountant firms. Their application is, in fact, designed to make sure that CA forms are catered properly. So this Pipilio, where you can have a login, you can even have your staff login. So you can allocate a task, you can have a milestone billing, you can even have milestone task related. You can schedule the task. You can even add your client also. So you need not to directly send the information to the client through email. You can have an account to the client. Once you give the client email ID, this particular work, even client also can have a look whether we are continuing properly or not, whether we are on time or not, and so on. This is one website probably you can consider to take a license. I'll just quickly go into Papilio. This is I think one of the very initial days application of this. Just for 1 minute, I'm just trying to show you how quickly it works. You can store even the documents over there. This is what it's going to do. Your clients also, you can give the access and you can assign the task and you can track the due dates and you can share the file with respect to the each checklist, and you can collaborate with the entire team. You can even have a SMS control inside. You can capture your process in the form of templates. So next time, for example, I want to incorporate a company. If I want to incorporate a company, the procedure is same. So once I make a process, next time onwards, I can simply copy paste that particular template so that I can assign the same task to the different staff. You can safeguard your data inside. You can always have, these all are very common even in the other applications. There is one more company that is CA dashboard. In fact, I tried with the demo. They are still upgrading with the information, but this is more like Pipilio, but where you can have a lot of dashboard related information, where you can track and you can have in the charts with respect to the assigned task, how many completed and so on. Bittrex 24 is a worldwide famous application, so, but little costlier compared to the Pepilio or CA dashboard. But if you want to customize, you can even do that. Here, even milestone wise invoice also will automatically go to the client. Once the client receives the mail, you will get the confirmation. Even you can connect with the payment gateway, so that the client also can pay the amount directly from the invoice to your bank account. There is a lot of things are there, because Bittrex is obviously the global application having a lot of things. May not be exactly fit for a chartered accountant office, but probably we can customize. There are a lot of people who can customize Bittrex related applications. Microsoft Planner, we always look for outside applications, but we don't always look into something which is already there into our system. If you take Office 365, Microsoft Planner is something which is very easy to work. I'll just show you one small demonstration. This is what the planner, I can just click it. This comes with you whenever you have Microsoft 365. Now I can have one plan. Probably you can just go here now, have a new plan, and this is basically client name is Andheri CPE study circle, then company incorporation, just for the example, sir. Company incorporation. It's not a public, it's only for the private, only for the members to whom I'm going to select this. Then you can give the description, company incorporation, okay, private limited company incorporation. Create a plan, so that this appears in the plan. It's just trying to create a plan for you. Okay, so you can have a task. I can divide entire into so many tasks. First, send a mail to client to get information, to get the relevant document. So I'm very poor in spelling. Relevant documents. The due date, I'm just allocating to my staff. By tomorrow, end of the day, they should get it. I'm allocating to, in this particular case, I'm only having one in this organization, only one user license I have taken. This is Saran. So once you are done, this is the way. Now, if you want to keep so much of information inside, now you just click here. So for example, when I click this, one second. Now you can just click this. You can have one more person, and this you can get the to-do also. This you can even download. To-do is an app of the Microsoft. You can download even from the from the Google store in the phone, so that whenever you allocated with a task, that will automatically get added into your to-do also. That means even to your phone also you'll get the alert. You can just put a mark here. Is it in the process, or is it completed? Is it a medium priority or urgent priority or important? Let's say I'm just making it as an important. Then you can put a start time. So let's say 14, and end time you can put in notes. If you want, even you can give different checklist here. So send an email, then second one, collect the information. Third one, store into a proper folder, store into the client folder. Then fourth step, share with so on. So you can put a name, Mr. Saran. Then you can have the comments. If you want, you can even have the attachments also here for files or whatever the case it is, and so on. So there are 4 steps they have to complete. So Saran has to complete this. Once they are done with this step, you can just click this, so that one mail will go to the person who created this as well as to Sharon. Then this step is also over. Let me click this. This is also over. This is also over. I'm sorry, one second. This is also over. This step is also over. So finally, this entire task is over. Once this task is over, it will display into the task completed. Maybe first time it will take little time for me to have a standardization for the processes, but next time onwards I can simply replicate the same, right? Just now you might have seen in the Pipilio like this. You can capture your process in the form of templates. That means these type of thing you can do it first once, and the same template you can take it and you can edit. That is exactly possible even here. Let's say if you want to add one more task. Now we got the information. Now the second one is prepare the documents for client signature. This is the another task. The due date for this is 15th. So this I'm assigning to one more staff. So simply click it. You can just add the task. So this is the second step. So you can simply move it. What is the first one? What is the second one? Based on that, you can understand the sequence, right? Even you can change the colors. If this is also done, you can simply click this. So this is over. So this is the way I can have all my tasks. If you want to see in a charts format, so you can check it out. Yeah, are there any tasks which are left, are not started, in process, are late, are completed? You can find it, the to do both are completed, right? Then you can have a schedule. This is in the calendar that automatically fits, so that even if you open your Outlook, you will even get a reminder. Since it's part of the to do, so if you have a app of the to do of the Microsoft, you can even get this. This directly, you need not to come to the web. This is only if you don't have a desktop version. Let's say if you have a desktop version, if I go here, I can even have my planner. The same thing, since I created over there, that is automatically came here. Check it out. Andheri CPE company information. That means I can simply take here and I can connect a call with this particular person, so that immediately we can share the desktop. Everything is seamless and collaboration. If you observe, there is one more coming soon. Earlier days, this is the to do where we are going to keep so much of information. Very soon they are going to keep these two together, because actually the next version of 2D is a planner, right? So my point here, I'm trying to take many apps which are already there, but we are not aware, and probably we might have not tried. If you try with your staff, I'm sure you will appreciate the application. So this is the planner through which you can even schedule, you can track the data and so on. When it comes to the execution of tasks, as you all know, these days, every time we need not to go for a desktop based. In fact, you all know the desktop based. When I go for Office, when I go to Excel, there's a desktop version of Excel. But the same Excel I want to, let's say I'm outside, I don't have my laptop, but I want to open the same file and I want to do some edition. I want to edit the document. If that is the case, you can simply open the same document. You can go to Microsoft Office website and you can go to whatever the OneDrive where you have all the information. Let me just click the OneDrive. 1 second. Let me click the OneDrive. So let's say I want to open a file. Let me open this file. I don't know what is this file. Let me open this file. This is a web file. Okay, I don't know, posting, branch, description, check numbers and so on. Okay, so this is one of the file. If you want, you can insert the shape. This acts like exactly Excel. Friends, web obviously have so many limitations. Very recently, Microsoft announced that even your cloud, that means when you are accessing your Excel, Word, PowerPoint from the web, you can even have a connections to the other Excel workbook. Let's say this Excel is having a connection to the different Excel in my computer. Probably that will not update in the web because this is not having a link. But recently it got updated, right? So this is also seamless. When I just save this information, when I put something, this is a sample data. This is not even online. This is not, sorry, this is not a desktop version. This is not an offline. When I save this information, generally this by default gets saved. Close it. You go to your OneDrive from your computer. You open the same file that will get stored. As simple as it. Okay. So that is one thing from the web you can access. Even the Google Drive also, like for any form we create, that will get stored. If you go to the new, in that this is this equivalent to the Word document. For every item you have a couple of templates. If you want to create something, instead of going for a blank document and work, you can have a template. This is like Google spreadsheet. This is like a PowerPoint in Microsoft. So even in the Google, you can create your own slide. Let's say I'm going for a presentation. Let's say presentation is not ready, but I have only 10 minutes. I can simply go to my Google Drive. I can just click for Google template. I can select one of the nice template. I can quickly fill the information so that maybe with 5 to 10 slides, I can do it very fast. So as of now, there are no templates. You can take any of the template. Right, you can, from the phone itself, you can access this. You can just change the data and you can delete whatever you want. You can insert, and within 10 minutes you can create a template and you will be ready for the session. As simple as it. So along with that, you have so much of other information. You can have a form, you can even do a drawing, you can even connect to your maps and so on, right? So in fact, friends, Google these days, the usage of the Google spreadsheet is also becoming very popular. In fact, from the last 5 to 10 days, I got 2 requests from the chartered accountants that, Sharan, do you know anyone who can do the customization of the Google spreadsheets? That means the usage of the Google spreadsheet is become very much popular because of the Google form. Because these days, most of the cases, people are using Google form, which is very simple. This is like this. For example, when I click this is a small Google form. Since this form is coming into a spreadsheet format, so that document is getting stored here. But this can be even directly connected to your Excel. That is also possible by using a Power Query. So that's the reason people are even going for a Google spreadsheet. This is, I cannot say, Google spreadsheet is not better. Both are very popular. How we have automation in Microsoft Excel like VBA, even your Google spreadsheet is also scripts. In fact, much more powerful scripts than your Excel. Okay, but I'm sure in next 3 to 4 years, Google spreadsheet also will become such popular like your Microsoft Excel. Okay, however, Excel is going very faster with respect to the upgradation of new tools. Of course, because of Power Query, the power of Excel became so much. So Google is also trying hard to make sure that people are using the Google spreadsheets. This is for the office purpose. My humble request for all of you chartered accountants, those all are olden days where we are going for a pirated version. Please take the genuine version so that the quality of the staff will get improved. If you are taking 2007 version, if they don't have a slicer or they don't have an option to work better in the Microsoft Excel, obviously your staff quality will go down. So please don't consider Office 365 or Google Suite as a cost, but always consider it as an investment. I'm sure within 1 year, whatever the amount you are spending, you'll get it back. Okay, because a lot of quality will get improved using the latest version of Excel and PowerPoint. In the recent Word document, I don't know how many of you know this. Let's say I'm busy with something, I want to dictate, so that when you have some information, that will get so much of every time it is just trying to, let's say, let me take equal to, I want to keep some 10 paragraphs are there. Okay, for advocates this is very much useful. And the people, let's say I prepared a document, I prepared a Word document as a reply to the notice to the income tax department. I want to check it out whether are there any mistakes. Then I can simply select this data, or else you can leave it as it is. You can click this dictate, so that you can dictate the same thing, so that exactly it types it. For example, let me delete this. 1 second. Oops. Okay. So I'm just when you dictate this, it exactly writes. So it makes your work so faster. Check it out. When I'm speaking, it is exactly typing whatever I'm speaking, but you have to be a little slow, obviously. So I hope you all are finding that it's automatically writing. I feel this is one of the best tool in the recent days Microsoft has introduced. But after the dictate, earlier days, let me share this experience. I'm talking about in 2014, 15 around, when I started my practice. For some work, I went to the advocate office. Yeah, let me click this dictate, let it write. I went to advocate office. Generally in the advocate office, you will find stenos, because they generally type so much of information into the Word document. One advocate having headphones, and he started speaking. So I thought steno is there, typist is there in the other room, maybe through the phone he's trying to guide. But when I bend my head and look into his system, whatever he's speaking with that accuracy, his Word document is typing. I'm talking about 6 years back. I with a lot of curiosity, I asked the advocate, sir, what is this application? Then advocate said it's a Dragon software. Dragon is the company name. It's a Dragon software, Saran. You can speak it. You can speak exactly it writes. Initial days it may go wrong because it is also like a small machine learning. It has to understand your accent, your syllables, lot of other things. Once you make it familiar, then 100% it exactly types what you tell, what you spell to the system. Even you go with so much faster, it can exactly do the same thing in the Word document. I surprised it 6 years back. Now you need not to buy any new applications. Thanks to our Word document, there is a dictate option where you can simply dictate to your system that everything works. The other way around of this, I don't know how many of you know this. In the Excel, there is a speech to text. I ask my staff to use this elaborately when they are trying to cross check any documentation with the Excel data in the client office. When they are going for an audit or checklist, they are doing some watching. Let's say some information is there in MS Excel and some information is there on the document. They want to verify from the document with the Excel. So I ask them, don't you look into the Excel, because when you see the Excel data, let's say there is some information. I'm just trying to take some data. Okay, when we keep on speaking, there are hundreds of applications like this, hundreds of tools, but just for whatever important, I'm just trying to go here. You can simply go to the options. You can go to even, go to quick access toolbar. You can go to the all commands. Then you'll find a few beautiful option called speak cells on enter. Let me just go here. Yeah, speak cells, stop speaking, speak cells by column. Let me add this into quick access toolbar. Rows on enter and speak cells. You know what happened with this? When I select this column, this is speak cells. I don't know whether you can hear the voice. It is speaking. Friends, for your information, I'm not touching my system. It is going to every item into my column. It is reading out. Yeah. So now let me go here. Now I think this. I don't know whether you can hear the voice from my Excel. Okay, so which makes my work more simple when I'm doing the audit especially. Okay, so you can try with hundreds of features. Let's say if you think I don't want to pay any amount for any of these things, still I can manage. I request you to use the OpenOffice. OpenOffice is something you can simply go to the website and you can download. It's a free office software where Open Spreadsheet, Open Word, Open PowerPoint is there. You can use it for free. In fact, these days, when you take any China phones, any of the Redmi or any of the manufacturing companies, WPS Office is also one of the very famous. So they are even giving you spreadsheet, Word, and everything is compatible with the PDF. So you can try it. I'm sure these all you already know it. But here the only point which I would like to tell you, take the license so that you can access the same thing even through the web. This is very much helpful, especially in the case of the days like, Corona pandemic. So if even you are not having any computer, still you can access all your data. So web exchange, as you all know how to make a Google form, you can get the data from your client as well as your staff, or if you can run a poll, you can just exchange this Google form link to anyone, so that once they fill the information, you can get everything into the Google spreadsheet. I'll tell you one small automation which we are doing actually, that is still in the R&D. We are trying to figure out in the TDL. Let's say if you have a MSME client, in fact, we are actually trying this. Maybe next 1 week we can complete this automation. We do even do a lot of bookkeeping for the MSME clients. We have a small department, so we have some 20 to 30 clients are there in that particular MSME sector. So the problem with they are very small clients actually. So they cannot afford an accountant. They cannot spend 20,000, 30,000 for an accountant. What they do, whenever after the month they give us the bank statement. I'm sure you all may be following the same thing. Then they'll come, they'll sit with my staff. So they explain each and every entry into the bank statement. So obviously these days, even if you spend something, after 2 days, if I go back into my bank statement and look into the amount, for me it's very difficult to recollect. So obviously 30 days back information, even they go wrong. They'll look into their emails, they look into a lot of things. So if something which we cannot figure it out, we are going to keep it into the suspense. So what the thing which we are trying is, we are having our own website. We created a small Google form. It's like, if you go to a test, I'm just talking about. So this is like a small Google form. Probably you can even give a link, or you can keep it into your website, and probably you can put this as a client name, some secret code here, so that only they knows it. And we have given a small form to the client, and here, there we kept only very few information. When they are doing any bank transaction or any transaction, we ask them to put the date, we ask them to put the client name. From the phone they can fill this information. We ask them to keep whether it's a deposit or withdrawal. We ask them to keep the whatever the amount, and we ask them to put the remarks. You know, they can even do this because when they are accessing through the phone, there is a speaker option. They can simply click a speaker. They can even speak, so that automatically writes, because obviously they access this from the phone. It will not even take more than 10 seconds for them to fill this information. Even 2 to 3 clients said, sir, I think this is very nice, so that even for us, we'll have a control. You know, once this information they fill every time whenever they are doing a transaction, it need not to be into a proper format, whatever the format they know, whatever the language they know. Let it be even into Telugu language or Marathi language, because that comes to our system. Then it comes into your Google spreadsheet. Now, when I go to my Google spreadsheet, just for your information, because this form is there in the, 1 second, let me go to Google Drive. Don't confuse, I'm opening so many mails. Let me close all these for the time being. Yeah. Okay, so this is the form, not this one. Yeah. This is also not required for me. Yeah. If I, 1 second, just give me 1 second. I'm just trying to go into other email. I would like to go to the drive. Okay. Yeah. So let me take this. If someone, even if you, this is a very test case, you can simply access from your browser excelism.in/test. Now let me write here, let me take the name of Amish sir from Mumbai. Then let me take the country, India. Let's say, let me submit. It's a very seamless that comes here, right? You know, we did a small automation from, it will not take much time for you to explain. You can simply go to the data, you can go here, you can go to web. So what we are doing, I can simply go here, you can find the same link, share, you can just go to the change, you can make it editor. Now you can copy the link. Now go here, you can paste it. That means I'm going to access from my Excel this link. Simply edit a couple of things here. It is gonna export, because I'm going to export my data in a format of Excel. Only 3 parts I changed. So I am just going to keep Excel as X. Once I click OK, my Excel is reading the information which is there in Google Drive. Check it out. It will be having all the sheets in the form. Check it out here. This form is having 2 sheets, form responses and sheet 2. Now let me just load this data, go to transform data. I'm just going into the Power Query. I'm just trying to give you an idea how we can automate the task. So heading, I have to take it up. So let me promote the heading. Now close and load. You know, that will come into my Excel. Now whoever before the web browser, you can access the same, this excelism.in/test. Now let me take some information now. Donald Trump. Now city Washington. Now country USA. Now when I submit, ideally this information must come where? Into my test. This is okay. Everyone knows it because it's a Google form. The information is coming into the Google spreadsheet. But when I go back to my Excel, when I just go to data and refresh, you got even your Donald Trump information. Now what are you doing? With friends, we think generally it's very costly to customize our tally. If you get a customization person from the tally, he will write a small code of the TDL, okay, small tally definition language. Now let me open the tally. In fact, again in the tally, we don't spend time to get the information, but if you spend, you find very beautiful add-ins. Now you can take any company, okay, for that matter. Let's go to Tally Shop. Friends, any app you take here, it is not more than 850 rupees. Let me search for Excel to Tally. See, these many TDLs already available Excel to Tally. You need not to do anything. Simply you take any of import masters from Excel to Tally. Receive import sales credit note from Excel. You can bank statement import from Excel to Tally. If you want to know recently added thing, you can go to the recently added. We have not even till now browsed this. Thousands of Tally definition files are there inside our Tally, which is not even costly 850. Every file is having for 3 days. So let's say if I click this, if I want to try, then this is 5 days evaluation period. So till 5 days you can work on this. After 5 days, if you like it, you can pay 800 rupees. 800 rupees one-time payment. It's not even continuous. Every one time 800 rupees sufficient. So what I'm trying to tell you, if the information is coming into a proper format in my Excel, I can convert this into a proper format directly through which I can create a small add in here. Once I click a button, if I open a client account into the Tally, these all will automatically dump into my Tally. So here the process is very simple. Once client feed the information into the form, then this information is coming into the Google spreadsheet. Then this information is coming into Excel table. I can convert this Excel table into the template, okay, which can import, which can export to Tally. It will not take much time. Again, you can write small formulas. Then through the TDL, import all entries to Tally. This is what, the productivity. So even if I have 20 clients, every day what I ask my staff to do, you just refresh this. So all 30 sheets will get refreshed. So first open the first client, then click a button that will go and sit over there. It is in the testing mode. Maybe next 1 week to 10 days we'll complete the entire process. So that month-end client will come, since already entries already posted over there. So I can my staff will simply go into the client Tally account and you can look into the entries where the description is very vague. If it is a deposit, your narration can be even customized. You can simply write a small Excel formula so that this amount being deposited for this purpose. Simple, right? So this is something you can try. Probably I'm just giving you to take the process into the next level. Now, once you practice, I'm sure you can get it easily. So you can download so many apps. In fact, we don't browse it. If you start browsing it, you can get it. If you are using Microsoft Windows, you simply go to your Microsoft Store. You can search here. Let's say I want to search for something ERP, or else there are so many ERPs. Many are free for your information, but make sure that your data is secured. Okay, so let's say I want to try here maybe the form, or else you want to send a question. I want to go for a poll. You can download hundreds of the apps. right? There are poll related, there are so many are there. In the same way, if you go to Google Marketplace, if I just go here, let me go here, these many applications are there even in the Google. Okay, so I can, Classroom is also very nice. I don't know how many of you tried. So click here. Your Google Marketplace is having hundreds of Asana is exactly like our, scheduling and tracking. Freshdesk is ERP related, and so on. You can just simply type it. If you want, you can, whenever you have time, this is accounting and finance related. All these apps, let me click it. It is just trying to load. Sir, is it okay? I'll take it another 2 to 3 minutes. I'll close it.
Sir, no issues. Take your time, sir.
The only thing is we should have a time, and we should do R&D. So in our offices, let's spend some time, start doing R&D. I'm sure one application exactly may suit to your client. Okay, it's taking a little time. It's okay. So you can just start browsing. There are so many apps are here. Maybe one or other app may be very much helpful to you. Let's go into the other thing. This is the last one. As I said, you can do automation. Automation is these days is the power. If you have an automation, if you have a will, I feel 80% of our office work can be automated. Unfortunately, this is pure my opinion. Probably you may have a different opinion than this. As per my opinion, I think only couple of professions which are still in the traditional. I feel one is advocate profession, because obviously in the advocate profession you cannot automate everything, because they have to go on, they have to speak before the judge. That you cannot automate unless maybe after 20 years a robo will come and that may even represent before the judge. But advocate profession is something which is more traditional. And the second profession I feel is chartered accountant profession. So at least good that because of the pandemic situation, people are bound to learn the applications and tools, and now they are looking for the automation related. If we are not upgrading ourselves towards the automation, because the future will be only, we need to work with very less staff, so much of work. That is only possible if you can automate the tasks. Company incorporation, when I'm doing, maybe for the first time I should take 1 day time. Second time onwards, it should not take much time, because I have to automate entirely filling the data into the documents and so on. In the same way, in the tally, when I know that for a client I'm taking so much time, my staff is spending 5 to 6 days only just putting entries. If that is the case, you spend some time, you take some customization guy, pay some 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees, automate the entire task, so that the same amount we get it every month, but next month onwards, your time you are going to spend gonna be very less. And automation with respect to Excel in the VB and Power Query, you can do n number of automations. In fact, whoever following my YouTube channel, every Thursday I keep do it with me one series. Yesterday evening, in fact, how to get the currency rates from Google. Just a document I'll open. I'm not going to demonstrate that. Just 1 minute. Because you can do n number of things in a beautiful way. For example, if I just go here. Yeah. This is actually, I did 2 years back for my staff, because we filed so many returns with respect to the ESOPs, individual clients where they're having employee stock options from Microsoft and different companies. But when they have an ESOP, some of the employees, they joined in the company 25, 30 years back. And throughout last 25, 30 years, many times they vested the shares. So that date they give. When we look into a currency rate, for us, very difficult to retrack. So this is a small add-in. In fact, yesterday through the live webinar in my YouTube channel, I demonstrated. This is a small, it will not even take much time, maybe 10 minutes. If you spend time, you can understand this entire process. This automation does, you know what? If I go and refresh on this particular days, Euro versus IND USD information, I'll get here. Let's say, for example, one client is having, okay, let this run. Okay, it got run. Now, for example, I want to take from 1st January 1st September 2020. Now, I can just simply copy and paste till 15th. In fact, 15th. Yeah, I want to get till 13th. I want to know INR versus USD rates. So what it does, it will go to this URL. It will go to this page, In this URL, there is so much of data. It will exactly take the USD information and it will display here. For all these dates, if I just go here and click refresh, for all these dates, I'll get the USD information. So if you just go to the queries, it is just trying to load. Okay, just have a patience. This is one-time job. So now my staff are very happy because every time earlier days to get the USD, any currency rates, they are taking a lot of time. Now check it out. Exactly for the same dates. If you want to try, simply take this. If you don't believe this, you can go here. You can just simply paste, enter. So go to this currency page. You know what my Excel is doing? It is going and accessing this URL. It is taking this USD 73.0280. This is exactly 73.0280. When I put GBP here, if I refresh, now I should get, you know, how much value? GBP is 97.95090. Don't worry, exactly we'll get it. You should trust Excel. So this USD will turn into the GBP. Don't worry, 100% it will come because it's a process. It never failed. So 97.95090. So this is a small automation. This is not something a rocket science. A simple 2-3 lines of the Power Query code you can write it. So like this, we need to identify what are the challenging areas in our office. Based on that, we can automate. Maybe down the line, I'm not saying this everything you can do it in one day. So it will take time. Maybe next 1 year you can have a target. At least today is the time I need to change my office structure. So at least in next 1 year, 50% of the things you can automate. When there is a will, there is a way. Okay. So that is about the automation. I think I'm just stopping here. So any question, we can take question and answer because when it comes to it, I can keep on go. Sir, Amish sir, I'm just stopping here.
Thank you, sir. Sir, due to prior commitments, Amish sir is not here right now. Is
Okay,
not in the
Deepak,
webinar right
sir.
now. Okay, sir. So, sir, it was a great deliberation, and sir, I guess that in your entire deliberation, you have, I guess, you have answered all the queries of all the participants, sir. So, as such, there are no queries as far as questions are concerned right now, and I will try that I will share your YouTube that page to all the members in our group. One more, and secondly, sir, you have very firstly you explained why there is a need to transfer from paper to paperless office in order to be more productive and in order to be more competitive. You explained this through the use of popular tools available in the markets and cloud servers like Google Drive, OneDrive. You also explained the various tools regarding the communication tools like Zoho, Zoom, and the productivity tools like Pepilio. And you also explained all these tools by giving a small demo in brief. And it was a great deliberation, and I'm sure that it must be of great use and of immense help to all the members of our study circle, sir. On behalf of Andheri Oshiwara Study Circle, I, Deepak Madlecha, give you a hearty vote of thanks, and I thank you that you invested your time and you shared your knowledge today on Sunday morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Deepak sir.
And sir, we'll be very grateful that once this lockdown situation is over in world and in India, so we will be able to meet you in Mumbai. And if I come at Hyderabad, I will definitely try to meet you, sir.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome.
Thank you very much. And for the members in general, there is an announcement once again that on next Sunday, we are having the webinar on tax audit. And I request all the members to attend in large numbers and take the benefit of the same. And today is Sunday, so thank you very much. Enjoy the Sunday, and we will end this webinar right now. Thank you.